Welcome back, chooms, and welcome back to a new video. So today we have some breaking news for Cyberpunk 2077, because yesterday during the Nintendo Switch 2 reveal, it has been announced that Cyberpunk will be arriving to this platform on June 5th with the launch of Switch 2 as well. And this is actually going to be the first time, I think, in CDPR's history that they are releasing a video game, not a new one, but of course a part of it, for a launch of a console, because I don't think that in the past that was actually the case, especially if you look at their previous releases. So this is definitely one of the first things. And to be honest, I did not know much about this port. Like, they've been really keeping this a secret for a very long time, it seems. But I mean, at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me in general, like when the Switch 2 comes out, that even if this partnership wasn't announced before, I'm pretty sure that they would be porting Cyberpunk onto Switch 2, because they did the same with The Witcher 3 on Switch 1. So I'm gonna be going through everything that they sent to us from the press center, including like some of the features, taking full advantage of Nintendo, and then later on we're gonna be talking about everything regarding Switch 2, which I have some thoughts on. So first things first, Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition contains the base game and expansion Phantom Liberty in one ultimate package, available for the first time ever to Nintendo players, so yeah. The game takes full advantage of Nintendo Switch's two features, including gyroscope aiming, motion controls, touchscreen commands, and mouse capabilities, because we have seen that one of those Joy-Cons, whatever they call them, you can actually use it as a mouse. And also Nintendo Switch 2 owners can purchase the game on launch day in a physical 64GB game card or the digital download from Nintendo eShop for Nintendo Switch 2. And also Adam Badowski, who was the game director for Cyberpunk 2077 during release, said this: "We are delighted to bring the immersive world of the dark future to Nintendo players for the first time. Thanks to the Nintendo Switch 2 system, you can transport yourself to the city of dreams at home or on the go." Now, as I said, they went more into detail regarding some of the features and uses from Switch 2, saying this: "The Ultimate Edition is optimized for every mode of play, offering new and exciting ways for Nintendo players to up their fun in the city of the future. The game is designed to take advantage of the new features available within Nintendo Switch 2 system, meaning players can pick up their Joy-Con 2 controllers and try out motion controls during combat, turn on gyroscope mode for pinpoint precision, tap, swipe, or pinch through menus or inventories, or use the Joy-Con 2, the right one, as the mouse control. This is the most Cyberpunk way to play Cyberpunk 2077, Badowski added. With every new feature, players can take center stage in the action to become the ultimate edgerunner." Actually, as I was recording this video, the price for Cyberpunk 2077 on Switch 2 has been revealed. So the SRP for the Switch 2 version is going to be $69.99 and €69.99. As the Jan Ronser, who is the VP and BizDev at CD Projekt, said this: "The game will be distributed on a 64GB game card containing the game and expansion, no download required, as well as via digital download from Nintendo eShop for Nintendo Switch 2, as I said." So yeah, this is going to be the price, $69.99 and €69.99 for euros. I'm really interested to hear your opinion about all of this down below. Speaking of performance on Switch 2, it has been revealed by CD Projekt that so far, and keep in mind this is still in development, so we have to wait for the full release to see, but the 1080p is going to be in 40 frames while Switch 2 is docked, and if it's handheld, it's going to be in 720p in 30 to 40 frames per second. So yeah, I mean, kinda expected, considering like basically the size of Cyberpunk 2077 and considering like the power of Switch 2. I mean, you cannot expect anything bigger than that, but we shall see how it looks in action, because at the same time this is a smaller screen, so you know, things are going to look better than if you played like 1080 or 720 on a bigger monitor. Now, as they said, this is gonna be coming out in two forms, so digital and physical. Now keep in mind that during the reveal of Switch 2 something else was also announced, and those are the actual game keycards. So it seems to me, as I managed to understand, keep in mind I'm not someone who really plays on Nintendo so much, so these things are a bit confusing for me, so it's gonna have two cartridges, or well, there's gonna be two options for cartridges, and not every single game is gonna be using this. So you have the regular cartridges, which arrives with data of the game, meaning that if you insert the cartridge, you can play that title because you own it. Now on the other side, they have something called game key cards, which basically they're plastic cartridges, but they do not contain the game in a sense. They're more of a key to unlock the, or well, to verify the DRM of the game, so you can actually see like, okay, you have a license, and then you can download the game. I am not really a huge fan of that because I'm really tired of actually getting cartridges or CDs or whatever they do now, which is basically just there for a physical thing and you have to download the entire thing on yourself. Now, of course, we live in a time where updates for games and patches are 50 to 100 gigabytes sometimes, and even games you purchase sometimes, like for example, like COD games, etc., they're huge in size. Stalker 2, huge in size. Baldur's Gate, also insanely huge in size. So it's not easy to, like, you know, patch stuff with cartridges and physical, which I understand. But at the same time, having the release version on a cartridge that you can play forever, whatever happens, is always the good case. Now, as much as I understood when it comes to these game key cards, so you will need to verify like the ownership of the game only once, it seems, and then afterwards you can just play it offline, but I'm still a bit confused around that part. And that's also depending on individual publisher and developers. So Cyberpunk 2077 will have data on the actual cartridge, the physical one, so it seems that in this case it's all going to be on the cartridge, and you don't have to worry about actually having just a piece of plastic which might be useless 10, 20, 30 years from now, depending on like what happens with the industry and what sort of like platforms we have in the future. So if I understood this well, getting this physical cartridge means like old school, even for Nintendo, you're going to have a cartridge, it's going to have a game, simple as that. And to be honest, it is really nice to see that we actually live in a time where you have these sort of games which are, you know, first party games which have like insane graphics and all. They kind of work really well on the, you know, handhelds or portables in general because they got stronger and stronger. Now we'll see like what the graphics are gonna be looking once this comes out. Of course, there is still quite a bit of time until June 5th, so when that comes out I'm gonna be able to kind of have a more like, you know, streamlined opinion on like how is it going to run, how is it going to look, and then all of these other features which they said, you know, Cyberpunk is going to take advantage of. So that's cool. On the other side, I want to touch on the reveal of Switch 2 in general. I'm not someone who has Switches in the past. I didn't have the original one, the one which came after it, like the upgraded version now with the Switch 2. I'm kind of thinking I'm on the, like, you know, if I buy it or not. The only problem which I have with like Switch 2, besides the console, which is like, okay, you know, it is what it is, but the prices of games for Switch 2, for some games, keep in mind, it is still kind of unknown, like which games are gonna be $80, like which are gonna be obviously physical $90 if it's going to be all games, but we do know that a lot of the Nintendo games are gonna be priced like that. So keep in mind that in Europe, for example, those $80 turns into 80 euros, $90 for a physical turns into 90 euros. Now, you can also take those 90 euros or 80 euros and basically switch them to a currency from my country, which turns it into either 160 to 180, 190 of my currency from Bosnia. So that means that the prices of these games are actually going to be insanely huge. Like actually paying 180, 190 for a single piece of game, for a physical piece of game, is like really expensive. And I just imagine how it is for countries like, for example, Brazil, like how much is it going to actually cost there, because I actually saw a comment on one of my posts back then, and a person from Brazil actually told me like the prices of these games are gonna be actually like the half of like either the median or the lowest like salary in Brazil. I don't know, I didn't really fully understand it, but we all, you know, we all know like how consoles and in general games are just so expensive in Brazil in general. So now imagine all of these things which now influence the entire world of gaming, because if you have Nintendo, who actually said, listen, 70 is not enough, we need 80 for this now, like 70 is not enough. And to be honest, like, I was expecting that $70 is going to be kind of a precedent for a long time, because, like, you know, they increased it from 60, you still have some games coming out and they cost 60 euros or dollars, and you have these like $70 games, and there have been hit or miss sometimes depending what you buy, especially because some of those games which cost like 70, 80, 90 euros, they still have battle passes, they still have random BS, which is basically to charge you even more money. So now I'm just thinking, if Nintendo did this, and to be honest, it's gonna be interesting to see like the sales figures in general, like after this comes out and after like maybe a year passes, because I'm pretty sure every single publisher out there is looking at all of this and saying like, okay, if Nintendo does $80 or $90 games for digital and physical, if we do it and it works for them, I mean, we can do it, and there you go, now prices of games are going to be even more expensive. Now, of course, a lot of these changes with like physical editions of games and cartridges which they have is honestly sad, because with these prices and, for example, these game keys, like cartridges, whatever they are, I'm pretty sure they're gonna be just killing the physical market in general. So the best way for you and a cheaper way for you to do it is gonna be going through the digital means, which I'm okay with, but at the same time, like, having physical games was always really cool just because of that ownership thing, you know, because if I own like a CD or whatever, that means like even if everything fails, I can always load up that game, even when it might be in the release 1.0 version, which might be broken, but at least I can play it. So these things, I don't know how to feel about them, honestly. But anyway, I don't want to go too far away from the Cyberpunk 2077 Switch 2 news. So yeah, in general, on June 5th, you can expect Cyberpunk 2077 to hit the stores. And again, it's gonna be interesting to see how well this is actually going to run on Nintendo Switch 2, because we know like this game can be really demanding. Also keep in mind that the port for Cyberpunk Nintendo Switch 2 version is being done in-house within CD Projekt, so this is not outsourced to any studio itself, but rather CD Projekt actually is porting this and working on it. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below, what do you think about all of this? What do you think about Switch 2 release? What do you think about these prices in general? And what do you think about this version of Cyberpunk 2077 coming to Nintendo for the first time on the actual launch day? In any case, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click that like and subscribe button, and also check us out on Twitter and Discord. Huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye bye.